What's up guys, Ronaldo here and welcome. Today I want to teach you guys or give you a bit of a guide on exactly which banners you should pull for. Should you go for 2x banners, for a 10x banner, or for the infamous 1+1 banner itself. I'm gonna give you my opinion and prove you mathematically why this is the best way to summon. I also will at the beginning now explain you exactly how the summoning works for the newer players, and after that I will go into the end game players for which banners they want to look out and for and what you wanted to summon on, of course. And for that I'm going to use this right here, Fasties and Seamus's drop rate study they made together with the community. So thanks to Fasty, Seamus, and the T is the guy who provided the actual data of the drop rates of the characters. And this study we will need to show you guys exactly how the drop rates work and what banners you really should aim for. Now first up, how does it exactly work? How does the summoning system exactly work, right? So if we take a look here, we have a low percentage chance of getting a Lord and a higher chance of getting in one of these normal legendaries out here. The problem here is though, as you saw in the spreadsheet already, that these summonings are not going to have the same rate. So you're not going to have the same chance of getting a Zealous than getting a Xylus. Zealous has a higher chance to get than Silas because Silas is a better unit. It's basically that's how it is, right? For example, a Hotsuit has extremely low chance to get, whereas a Zealous has a high chance to get. And the Lords, of course, they even have a lower rate than that. Yeah, and even the Lords have different rates on their own as well, so it's not all the same. And on top of that, these Lords, this is what I didn't like, and it's kind of hard to tell because these Lords, from the looks of it, they're in a separate box, and the normal legendaries are in a separate pool, right? So you would imagine you have these two pools, Lords and normal legendaries. Then when you get to a legendary, it chooses between Lord and normal legendary, right? Tick, 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 tick. Okay, normal legendary it is, like 9 out of 10 times, right? Zack, even more than that, but you get the point. But you get the point, right? Zack, normal legendary, and then next time, tick, 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 someday you get a Lord. That's not how it works. They're all in the same pool. These guys and these guys are all in the same pool, just with different rates. And basically, if we take a look here, these are the different rates. These are the definite rates of each legendary at the moment. As you can see here already, the Lords have one of the lowest drop rates, whereas some weaker units such as Orim or Shamir, I mean Shamir has some use cases, right? All of them have, but they have higher drop chances, right? If you get a legendary, you have a 3% chance that this legendary will be Calypso, but you have a 0.75% chance to get a Hotsuit. This is how it works. Now let's go back to the banners now that you know really how it works, and let me explain you which banners you want to look for and how this will be looking like in the future. So for early game players, it's basically pretty simple, because for early game players you want as many legendaries as possible. You just want to summon every weekend, more or less. You want to summon every weekend because you cannot afford to skip a weekend, because you will be stuck on progress. Now we have a special case here on this weekend, right? Which should you summon for? Should you summon for the 2x event, or should you summon for this 10x event? And I would recommend you guys to go for this 10x event if you don't have these two legendaries. If you don't have a Constance and if you don't have a Allura, they both will bring you a lot of value. Constance in many different cases, Allura in a Gear A3, a God tier unit, and Hollow, of course, awesome Dallin is also good for gear 3 and so forth. But we're not going to go over this banner specifically. We're going over overall. Whenever there's a banner, how can you choose what you want to pull for, right? So early game, you just always want to pull. This weekend you should go for the 10x, but you can also go for 2x depending on the units that you have. But now let's go into the end game. This is where really you should become picky with your summons, right? This is where you want to be like saving a lot of summons until there's a good banner, and then you're like, okay, now I pull. And this is where I needed these numbers for. So because once you're in the end game, you have your basic units complete. You have your units, you have your basic roster, and then you only need specific heroes, right? And let's go over the heroes that are good, that everyone wants to have at least once, right? So we can go here, all the lords until Salazar. I don't think Salazar is needed. I don't think Valeria is needed. Of course, she's good for arena. And then we will have to take a look here at Silas and Comet. So these are basically the top tier units that you want, right? The creme de la creme. And after that, there's the mediocre ones. But most of them in the end game you will already have. Now we have this sum right here, 20.9%. And now this is why 10x banners in the end game will always be better than 2x banners, and for the most of the time will be better than a 1+1 as well. I'll explain you when you want to summon for 1+1, because there's been a lot of confusion, right? There's been a lot of confusion about the 1+1. So 1+1 banner, a lot of people just pull and they be like, oh, I pulled 180 pulls until I finally got my 1+1, right? That's not good. That's not good. Or I pulled 200 pulls until pity until I got my 1+1. That's not good. This way a 1+1 is no better than a 2x, right? It's just simply a 2x. A 1+1 is a 2x if you're not close to pity. The only time once 1+1 really becomes valuable is when you're like 150 pulls in or just 100 pulls in. The closer you are to pity, the more valuable the 1+1 becomes. But if you just got a legendary lost summons, the 1+1 is not going to be that valuable because it's going to be just like a 2x banner. It's just simply like that. So keep that in mind. If there is a 1+1, it isn't the by far best banner at all. It is a good banner if you're closer to pity. Other than that, it's more or less a 2x banner. And now let's go over why a 2x banner will pretty much always be worse than a good 10x banner. So we have here our 20.9% chance of getting a good legendary in the end once we reached endgame. Now, the thing is that this 20.9 is wrong because Comet and Silas got their rates reduced to 1%, around 1%. So we can reduce 4%. We are at 70%. 17% chance of getting one of the legendaries we want. But because we have a 2x rate, let's 2x that. Then we're at 34%, right? 34% for the legendary. Now let's say there is a 10x for a Silas, or for, I don't know, for anyone, just for anyone. Let's say there is a 10x for one of these good units right here. But then we would have, let's say, a 30% chance of getting that good character, right? Wait, actually less. If we have Eloin times 10, then it's going to be 11% of getting her, plus the 17 is 28% chance of getting a good character. That means that 10x is worse, right? No, that's not how it is, because the devs actually applied a good system, I think. That is that the 10x is more than just the 10x. It is higher than just the 10x. That's what they did, for example, for Salazar. His chance to get him was around 20%. And I think they want to do it like at 20 that you have probably around a 50% chance to get the legendary that you one of the boosted legendaries. So if you have a 10x with 2 units, the top, there's always gonna, like 90% gonna be one good unit, god tier unit, that is gonna be the reason why you pull, and one mediocre unit, right? The mediocre unit has a 10x, right? This is gonna be 30% to get that. And the strong unit, like Salazar for example back then, will have around a 20x to get to 20%, because otherwise the 10x will be nowhere, like no one will get him, and no one, it's not going to be worth going for 10x. That's why they do it like this. They higher up these chances more than just 10x for that specific unit, and then you have like a 50% chance to get one of these two, right, of the 10x banner, and a 50% chance to get one of the others. What's up guys, Ronaldo here again, real quick after recording this video. It wasn't just Salazar, it really is now the new pattern that they just hired and just don't just do a 10x but more than just a 10x. They did the same for Silas Vierna, they hired their rates even more than just 10x, and also they do it for Artemis and Hatsut that are coming out, also more than just a 10x. For example, as you saw, Hatsut 0.75% is going up to 18% ish, which is nuts, right? It's more than 20%, 20x for Hatsut. Same for Artemis, he's also going to be around the 18% ish, according to Fastidious. And thank you Fastidious for all this info, by the way. So this as well shows again Artemis is also going to get more than a 10x. Hatsut gets even more than 20x, and this shows their pattern, and I will explain you why they will continue to do it like that for the 10x, that they will boost the 10x more than just 10x but like around 20x for the good units by the end of the video. But that's just a short notice I wanted to tell you after I recorded the video, that actually it is now stable ever since that Salazar banner where they improved his rate like 20x, not just 10x. They do that consistently. That's not just a one-time occurrence with the Salazar. They did that with Yerna, they did that with Silas, they did that now with Hatsut, and so on for the future 10x's as well. And what we also need to consider though with the 10x is that because these two units are gonna have a 10x and are gonna make up 50% of the summonings, they will suppress the rate of the other units, right? So while we have, let's say, that 20% chance for Eloin, right, to get that Eloin, the unit that we want, we will have a lower chance to get one of the other units that we want, right? Because 50% is going to be that Eloin, and like 20% is going to be that Eloin, and 30%, for example, the Calypso in the banner, just for example, right? Which means we are going to take away Silas and Comet here because it's confusing with the rates, and put these because these are the rates that Silas and Comet have, right? Because they're around 1% now, they just got lowered a lot, and then we have Eloin taken out of the equation as well. Now we have a 15% chance of getting one of the units other than Eloin that we want, right? Just imagine that Valeria and Salazar are Comet and Silas. Now that's it. Now it's about 16%. So 16% divided by 2 is about 8%. So we have that 22% around for Elwin plus 8%, around 30% chance to get a unit that we want from one legendary at a 10x. 30% chance from one legendary at the 10x. And then if we have a 2x, right? If we have a 2x, we have around a 17% chance for one legendary, but because we get double the amount than on the 10x, we have a 34% chance of getting one of the legendaries that we want. So you might think, okay, that 2x is better. No, it's not, because first of all, this is really favored 2x because this includes so many units, right? If we're going to be honest here, if I'm going to be honest here, if you are in the end game, you're not going to want a constant dupe, right? You're not going to want an Eloin dupe. You're not going to want a Vierna dupe. You're not going to want one of these dupes, right? And on top of that, let's say you have one of these lords in the end game, which is quite possible, right? Then the rates already go down, and then you have only a 13% chance to get a legendary that you want. Times 2, 26% chance, right? Because you have two legendaries with the 2x. Then the 10x is still at 20%, plus 6 is 26. They're at the same rate. Now, let's do it how I would want it. Huh? Now, let's do it from my account as example. Let's show you my account. So, I have Leia, so I don't need her. I have Erica, I don't need her. I have Venoma, I don't need her. Then I have a Arrogance, and I don't need dupes from Arrogance. I don't need dupes from her, don't need dupes from her, don't need dupes from him, don't need him. I mean, that's a Comet, right? So we don't need him. And this is Setrum, don't need dupes anymore. Don't need. Basically, this is what we're working with, plus a broke here. This is what we want, and a Silas, of course. So we're gonna take Silas here. This is what I want on my account, for example. Silas, again, 2% less drop chance, so it's 9% chance to get something that we want. 9% times 2, 18% chance to get one of the legendaries that I want of the 2 legendaries from 2x. Whereas if it's a 20x more or less for Boreas, it's already higher. Plus 5% from the suppressed rate is going to be 25%. So mathematically speaking, the more you get into the end game, the more you're getting picky with it, the more you want to get picky with it, the better the 10x gets. They get better and better and better. And the thing is, even in the early game, they're good because in the early game you need specific epics as well, and they bring you that specific epics, which is why if we take a look here, something like this is amazing too, right? You have Hollow God here epic, you have Delin, who's amazing for Gear 8 3 as cost generator, and yeah, this is basically mathematically proven even with suppressed rate. Once you reach really the end game, once you don't need much, right? Once you don't need much, 10x banners are going to be the way. Especially you have to consider, right, you are going to pick picky anyways, right? You don't need to pull all the time. You can beat all the content that you want at some point. You only need one specific hero, so why would you try to gamble that luck, right? Why would I try to get 100 legendaries to get my Arrogance finally from 2x events, instead of getting 5 legendaries to get Arrogance from a 10x event where he has a 20% chance, right? Because 10x is more than just a 10x for these units that you really want. Just pretty basic maths, if you ask me. This is my reasoning why I truly believe good 10x banners in the end game, number 1, followed together with 1+1. If you're close to pity, 1+1 is God tier, of course. If you're far from pity, it's just the 2x. And this is my reasoning, with suppressed rates, of course. Also, what you have to consider, these rates here, with each addition to the summoning pool, these rates from each legendary go lower and lower and lower and lower. And they even said, the devs at the interview with my bucket, that they will increase, or that was one of the questions he asked, and they already did that, applied that. So maybe from that interview they did that. And my bucket was asking, when there's more heroes to coming, suppressing the rates, the 10x banner will get less valuable. Are you going to make a 15x, 20x banner? And that's what they did for Salazar, and that's what they're doing now. Once the rates are suppressed, they're getting these 10x banners even higher up to make them still viable, which is why 10x banners are just bangers, and they're just good, basically the best thing to do. And now you could say, oh Ronaldo, you're speculating that they will continue to do 20x rates on these legendaries that we really want? What if they only give us a hot soup with a 10x banner that has a 7% chance of getting, right? That would be abysmal. Yes, that's true. But why would they do that? Because Fasty, luckily for us, has the insights, right? He knows the rates and everything. So if they do that, right, and we see, oh, 7.5% chance, that's nothing. We're not gonna pull. They're gonna ruin their most valuable source of income, which is the 10x banner. So just logically speaking, they will always want the 10x banner to be the most valuable one, because this is gonna be the one where they can make the most money. That's just how it is. Because specific heroes are gonna be better than 2x events. They're gonna be rarer and everything. Just monetary wise, it's also beneficial for them. And this is just another insight that I want to give you on the way out. And yeah, this is all you need to know about the summons. Hope you now have a bit more of a clear understanding what you want to summon on. Just be really cautious. If you still don't know exactly what you want to summon on, just subscribe. I'm going to release a video of a tier list soon. I'm making a tier list where I explain why these units are top tier, why certain units you want awakenings, why not, etc. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed. Have a blessed day. I'm Ronaldo and I'm out. Peace.